Welcome, 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 welcome. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to It's a Lifestyle with the official LP. I'm your host, the official LP. Whether you're listening to audio or you're watching video, we are welcoming you to our newest platform. And when I say we, there's many individuals that have been behind the scenes that have been inquiring about this for the longest time. I've been prepping this for the longest time. I've been planning to launch for the longest time. In this day and age, in this platform, this day and age, in this realm of content creating, platforms like this and many other platforms that I have watched over the years and I have developed in my own behind the scenes that have just led me to just finally being able to create in a space where I'm comfortable to be able to bring this to you guys into many other different ventures. Um, this is not just a new beginning for me, but it's a new beginning to everybody else out there as well too. Because if they're not familiar with me, let me reintroduce myself. My name is the official LP. I am an artist, producer, songwriter, rapper, whatever you want to call that. Rap has always been my first love. It's always been the thing that's drawn me to music, um, that's drawn me to hip hop. But music overall has just been a blessing to me in my life by the way that I've been brought up by my family and been able to do the different things that I've been able to do. We gonna get into some of that. We gonna save some of that talk as far as like with me. But first off, I want to talk about some things that's going around the city. All right, I am from Springfield, Massachusetts, from the East Coast. We're brought to you in the East Coast, so we're gonna be touching around the world, many of the other different places, across overseas. If there's things going on over there over the course of time that we're able to get into, that we're gonna get into as well too. If there's able to things going on down south, or there's things going on just wherever across the globe, you just know where we going with this. You know where we going with this. This is big. We going bigger than big. We not just staying uh, where we're at, local, anything like that. But we gonna make sure that we bring many of things to you: sports, movies, music, gaming. It doesn't matter. It's a lifestyle. Let me say that again. It's a lifestyle. Let me say that again. All right, so welcome, welcome. We just grow with us. You know what I mean? We one fan at a time. So I want you to hit those socials. Matter of fact, let me get that out the way. Make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you comment. I want the engagement. I want y'all asking questions. Who should I bring up here? There will be guest interviews. I will break that down later in the show as far as what the platform is even more. Like I said, we're just growing and getting to that point where you guys will be able to be able to grow with us. So that's always going to be the journey. I want everybody to be able to grow with this platform and to be able to be included in this platform, because without anybody engaging or anybody watching or listening or whatever is going on, there was just nothing will be going on. But I'll still be able to do this with the passion, with the pride. It's not about uh, a lot of the things that's going. It's not about um, capitalizing monetarily or anything like that. This more is about a passion for sports, just lifestyle. Let me say that again. Movies, travel, food, just life. I see the way things are going, even just with streaming. And I think it's a beautiful thing when just people are just diving into different realms of different people's lives and getting into the nature of what life is, especially with the technology that we have nowadays with all these cameras. And just, I think it's a beautiful thing the way things are evolving. That's why I said earlier, as far as it's allowing a comfortable space, because there's many a different realms that people could be in as regarding their media or how they want to do their media. Now, I remember growing up when I was younger, I always wanted to do like sports shows. I wanted to do music shows. I was always interested in how somebody became who they were and what were the fabrics and interior and the different things that they grow up in, the life lessons that made them get to just to where they were, and expanding on where they were and joining different markets and getting into different professions. So that's always been a thing for me. So it's it's a beautiful thing that we're able to launch right now and be able to bring this to you. So again, I don't even think I got that out the first time as far as where to where to follow at. But let me get into that. It's at It's a Lifestyle LP on Instagram, X, YouTube, and all social platforms. There will be a website that is launching We already had that launching. We took that down just to have that under construction. We will bring that to you back by probably episode 2 or 3. You'll get that information real soon. But make sure you stay up to date with everything regarding our socials because we're gonna have a lot of engagement. We want people to be a part of it. We're gonna have a lot of different content that's gonna be pumping out. I would love to work with different content creators if they have some ideas, if they're interested in what we're bringing here, and they want to kind of cross collaborate. So I'm definitely open to a lot of different businesses, and I want, like I said, I want this to grow. I want this to not only be a vessel just for me, but a lot of different people that maybe wanted to get their thing going off the ground. And if I can help out in any different way and be helpful in any source, like I said, a vessel or useful, I'm here. So welcome again, the official LP. It's a lifestyle. All right, so we're gonna get into topic on number one. Let's get into this. All right, so there's been we're gonna get into our social topics. Our social topic, like this episode is not gonna be as long as other ones will be because we have some different, the way we're rolling it out is gonna be, we warming the car up right now. So stick with me. So we got a social topic going on right now that's hit the city that has created quite a buzz, I would say. And I know in different states and different cities they have their different issues when it in regards to city funding and the politics behind it. People would say, or whether they feel what they deem is necessary or unnecessary. But in this instance, in Springfield, Mass, a festival, the Stone Soul Music Festival or Stone Soul Festival. Let me rephrase that. The Stone Soul Festival, which I've been to many a times, has come under attack. I don't even want to use those words. Some questioning has been raised by a post on social media, Facebook to be specific, where a user was kind of raising some questions, and to my surprise, it actually raised and garnered so much attention that it was not only just the online scene. You had people in the community, you had people at city council really getting involved to where certain questions were raised about the funding for this said festival and where it was going and where it should go, and it was a back and forth, and things kind of got a little out of control at certain points, but I'm just really proud of the people that really just came together and just this, you know, were able to establish certain things. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's bring it back. But let's go to the post where this Facebook user, which I'm not going to name because I don't want anybody to be trying to, bombard anybody with messages or anything like that. If you're in around the area or anything like that, then you would know where this is regarding. Um, this is the post that was posted September 2nd, and it was regarding the Stone Soul, which took place, I want to say, the last weekend of August. I don't have the specific dates of it, but the last weekend of August going into September. All right, so let's get this. Let's read this. Bear with me. It is a long post. Stay with me. I'm gonna read through it. I'm gonna break down. I may stop in between or whatever, just to kind of get certain clarity on certain points and maybe just get it out instead of just waiting at the end and summarizing. But we'll see how this flows. All right. So she says, "Excuse me, let me get some water real quick. 1 second before I read this. It's a long post." It's a lifestyle. All right. Let's get straight to it. Let's get this straight. Stone Soul received 500,000 in grant funding from ARPA, whose stated goal is to support arts and cultural organizations in reimagining a more creative and equitable city. That kind of funding is meant to uplift underserved communities, especially through cultural programming and youth engagement initiatives like Stone Soul. But I have serious concerns. One, what happened to the backpack drive? We live in a low income city for many families that event was a critical resource, a way to get their children ready for school. Two, where was the youth engagement? We constantly talk about community engagement and creating spaces for young people, but there was no headliner, no strong youth programming, nothing that would genuinely draw or inspire the next generation. That's a huge missed opportunity. Getting rid of the rides? Okay. Three. Let's scroll down a little bit. Three. And let's talk about marketing. If any of this 500,000 went toward promotion, it's hard to see. Marketing was weak at best, and many people didn't even know the event was happening, especially the parade. That's not just unfortunate, that's poor planning. Social media isn't the only form of marketing, but hopefully y'all can figure that out next year. Four, the vendors paid $180 per day to participate. Where did that money go? It clearly wasn't reinvested into the experience for the vendors or the community or for the community. And lastly, no free food for an event funded at this scale, offering basic hospitality, especially for families. Stone Soul prides itself on starting off as a church picnic. Hello, somebody. That was in all caps. That should have been a no-brainer. It's a simple way to foster community dignity and inclusion. Couldn't even make hamburgers and hot dogs? Question marks. So with all due respect, what was actually done with the $500,000? Because from where many of us are standing, there's very little to show for it. I'd personally like to see a line item budget breakdown. Public or grant funding should come with public accountability. And while we're at it, oh, she said, and while we're at it, she has pretty much more bulletin points. Were any metrics collected to measure success or community impact? Question mark. Has Stone Soul actually improved over the years in terms of reach, quality, or equity? What's the plan to address these gaps in the future? It's 2025. Transparency should be the standard. We all want to see Stone Soul thrive, but that can happen. That can't happen without responsibility for the community it claims to serve. So, pretty much long-winded, but a lot of her points were very valid in the terms of seeking information and looking at a festival that has in some residents' eyes deteriorated over the years when it comes to entertainment and using those resources wisely. But for let's just talk about the resident side. Let's talk about the resident side of things. For a resident to go to these festivals, and for most part, growing up, there were a lot of rides. They had rides, they had face painting. They did have back to school drives. I'm not sure if they did that this year when it comes to that festival. I need to fact check that. I will double back with y'all with that information. But with these questions raised after, with this post was made after the festival was over. So with that being said, growing up over the years, the festival has kind of took a turn for for better or worse, depending on which side you stand on. And for the resident side, they're thinking that it's taking a stand for the worse because they're getting constant. They get the vendors, they get the music, they get the stage with the music. They get the bands playing, and they have like I want to say like a 3 day event from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they roll out this every year, every August, every beginning of September, and this has been a tradition for some years. And to go to this festival and to see the rides disappear, as she's stating in here, and the youth engagement from the resident side, you can say that those things are actually valid and maybe true to that one's experience. You know, going from that to the other side where it's the ones putting on it, and when you're actually getting these questions asked to you, the funding could actually have been spread out throughout the years. It could have been spread out through the festivals, deeming when that grant actually got approved. They could have actually been trying to hit the community with, different events, or and everybody doesn't always go to the events that they actually use this money for, because that's the thing about cities and actually small communities. And when it comes to issues like this, when it's actually like a microscope on one thing, a lot of people don't actually go to where the funding is actually going, and maybe other different instances it may have been hard to get that funding. But I know I'm jumping to the politician side real quick, or the not even the politic. I guess you would say the would you say the politicians? Y'all tell me in the comments. Um, Forgive me for the so much. Bear with me. So getting back to the resident side. We're gonna stick to the resident side. I want to go a little deeper on the resident side. Yeah, you do want those backpack drives. You do want that. You do want to feel like this is something one of a kind experience when you're actually going to the festival to bring your kid, or whether you're growing up and you were a kid and you grow to an adult and you go to, and maybe you move and then you come back and then you see the festival. You want it to grow. You always want it to grow. The space where they do it is always big enough to do it. They do it at Blunt Park, which is a actual is a beautiful park. If they're able to actually expand it with that funding, that would be beautiful. But here's the thing, though, when it comes to being on the residential side of it, we can enjoy these things, but at the same time, we have to help these things. And with being a resident, we got to be able to show up for not just this, but show up for this has to spread across the board with a lot of different things that's going on in the community. And that's not to say that the ones who are actually showing up to these events, to the ones who aren't, and kind of causing I would maybe just causing some madness online, or just maybe just having like more views than they should, because well, everybody's gonna have their views. Let me not say that. Everybody's gonna have their views and everybody's gonna have their opinions, because clearly, look, this is a new platform. I'm gonna have my views and my opinions. People are gonna agree or not agree, which that's gonna be the thing. But you have to just understand that that's always gonna come with, you know, what are you actually doing to help that initiative actually happen? So I think that with this case in particular, being still on the residential side, you know, you do have the right to ask these questions to the people who are in charge. We want to definitely highlight that point as well too. I'm still sifting through what she's saying, trying to cover what she's saying before I summarize what that uh, you do have to take in consideration these questions, because if there are the ones who actually want to do better, want to see the better, and actually want to see the change happen, because they have been putting in this work over the years, or things have shifted in the way the world works, and they're seeing the way things are progressing in the city of Springfield, i.e., the MGM, i.e., all the funds that the concerts and different things that they're expanding in the city. The city is growing, so the money is there. So even myself being a resident of Springfield, you know, it is okay and it's fair to ask these questions. Now, whether or not people are going to believe the answer to these questions, that's the thing that it's hard to decipher, because people want to believe whatever they want to believe at the end of the day. You're gonna as long as there are some facts laid out, I think people will be able to be okay with that. But not only facts, but they want to see some change. They want to see some activity go on. There's a lot of great events that go on, and that have attempts to be put on, but maybe they have seen some blocks. Maybe they have seen maybe not the proper funding. Maybe they tried to apply for some of these grants and some of these loans to be able to have these things go on, but it needs to be spread across the board. So I think it is fair. I think it's okay for residents to ask these questions. Excuse me, ask these questions so that they can get the proper answers to be able to maybe assist, maybe in the present future or present day, or in the near future, to be able to make this change, or a better city, or better way of thinking, or better way of living, or just better festival when it comes to that in general. Now, for the people who are getting the questions, you know, they do got some questions to be answered in terms of that. Like I said, these people could actually be spreading this money around in many a different instances. When it comes to the city, this could be, if they got this, depending on when they have received this money. That's the question that I would actually want to know, is like, when did they actually apply for this loan, and then our grant loan, and then when did they actually receive this money? Is there something? Is this coming in yearly? Is this 500,000 a year for this specific festival in general, or is this just for the arts and the how she was saying, the ARPA loan, with stated goals support arts and cultural organizations in reimagining a more creative and equitable city. So is that a loan that, kind of re-ups every year, or is that just something that is a loan that is taken out and you have to repay that, and so that whole type of regular type of loan? Give me some answers when it comes to that. If you know about that more in the comments, I definitely want to know about that, because again, this platform, and it's always ever growing. I want to know more. I'm not here saying I know everything or know the most or anything like that. I'm spreading whatever I know, and I want to definitely know what y'all know. And we're gonna bring some people on that know some stuff, and we're gonna all know together. All right. So, but back to this. Yeah, they could have actually been fighting for different loans over the year, like different loans and different things of that nature over the years. This loan may not have been available to them maybe 5 or 10 years ago, or maybe even 15 years ago. The money probably wasn't even as grand with it. We don't know that. That could be another question that can be asked. We don't know where the money is actually being spread out, when this money was actually received. So they could have been fighting an uphill battle for so many years, and some of these people have just finally like got over that hill to where they were actually able to do things and maybe try to do a little bit more with the funding. But the results are the results, and the way it looks is the way it looks. And uh, sometimes you get a mixture of people's opinions. You get a mixture of built up frustration. You get a mixture of traumas based off of people being denied different things, and different things that are progressing in a way that they would like to see fit for their city, for change, or for wherever they would like to be at. And it just turns into like a big gumbo soup of mixed emotions, and just online this whole thing just exploded to where now you just got people joking about it, that all that stuff is going to happen, and you're going to have people just chiming in with opinions and what it should be, and what but this thing actually took a turn for the better, which I'm proud of the people that were involved, and people that stepped in and decided to actually do something with it, because it is all about action. And the reason I'm talking about it here on the platform to lead off is because, especially around where I'm from, is a certain energy of, people want change, but in most cases, people just don't know what change looks like. They may see it through their phone, they may see it, through somebody else. Some people live vicariously through others, and they don't know themselves how to get out and do the things that they may speak upon, and turn that, speaking into an action. So this actually took a turn for the better, because it really just was just taking a turn where people were not believing in others, and it just was, people were trying to pin it up as, oh, this is the same old Springfield, it's the same old Springfield, it's the same old you know movie. We've seen this story, we know the ending of this. And there was actually a meeting that came about this. There's an organized meeting that is taking place. I want to get the date for that, so everybody can, this will be available before the meeting takes place, so everybody in that area and everybody in the area can get that information. Let me get this date for you. It is, and while I get that, again, oh, here's the date right here. Um, they're calling it the Call to the Black Community, a much needed conversation. Um, it's 4 p.m. Saturday, September 13th. All right, Saturday, September 13th. If you would like to join that session, it's 980 Bay Street, Springfield, Mass. There is a QR code. You can, I guess, you can find that online. Um, yeah, they already got to it. And this is something that this is something that I haven't seen before in this instance, because this got so much attention that people actually got together quick, and they got together in a quick form and organized fashion, and where they can be discourse and it can be conversation, to where it doesn't just have to be just one sided, where it's just being attacked and we just move on from it and nothing else happens. And that's on both sides, because they can move on for it, and whether it be from their side, to where people think that it may be corrupt, or whether it be right or wrong, if they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, or it can be from the residential side, where they're just complaining, or they actually have some, you know they have some leeway as far as what their questions and concerns are actually valid. So I think that this was an actual beautiful outcome, and I definitely would be trying to attend this. That is the 13th. I don't. I have to check my schedule to make sure everything is good for that 4 p.m. But if you're able to make that, I suggest that you. They have a register here QR code. I will put that up on the screen as I say that. And yeah, do you definitely want to join that conversation? You live in the Springfield, Mass area, and yeah. So with that being said, we are gonna move. We are gonna move. We are gonna move because you already know it is a lifestyle. All right, all right. We're gonna move over to sports. All right. By the time you are hearing this, it's a hold on. I gotta give a round of applause because it feels so good to be back. It is the NFL kickoff weekend. Come on, man. NFL kickoff weekend. All right. We got some. I'm gonna do some predictions. I'm gonna give y'all my season predictions. I'm gonna give y'all my division winners who I think making the playoffs. We're gonna go through a quick run through. This week we right before week one. By the time this is aired, the Chiefs and the Chargers would have already played, and the Cowboys and the Eagles would have already played. So I hope that you know we get some good football games. So let's get into it. All right. So with the let's go into the division winners. All right. Let's go into the division winners. Let's run through it just a quick division winners, all right? So in the AFC East, all right? I got the Bills winning that division, all right? I got the Bills winning that division. I think Josh Allen following his MVP, that division's, that division kind of like that division got a little better. The Patriots and the Dolphins, the Jets, that's why I got following up in second, third, and fourth, the Patriots, Dolphins, Jets. I don't the Patriots kind of got a little better. They got a little younger on defense. They brought in Stephon Diggs at receiver as a primary target. I think he's going to have a solid year, honestly. Stephon Diggs, wherever he go, he puts up numbers. The Jets are the Jets. They dysfunctional organization. I hate to say it. They just always do it to themselves. I do believe in Justin Fields. I hope he does have a good year. But Sauce Gardner is solid too. They do have a solid defense. They've always had a solid defense. They took a few steps back, in my opinion, with the Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers, as soon as he came out, blew his Achilles, and then he came back, and then it was just a lot of people was getting fired. They wasn't playing good. It kind of messed the energy up from where that team was kind of projected to go. I think they had what was it? Zach Wilson. He wasn't really a good fit for them as well too. He was kind of a struggling quarterback, but the team was solid, and they were actually holding teams to, I want to say, under like 15, 16, 17 points a game. Don't have the numbers in front of me. But the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, I do rock with Tyreek Hill on the Dolphins. The Dolphins kind of shifted up a lot of their pieces, shipped out Jalen Ramsey. They ended up still having Tua at quarterback. I thought they were going to make some changes, to be honest with you, in my opinion, because Tua, all the concussions and things like that, it's like he's one concussion away. We don't hope that. He's one concussion away just from uh, kind of being done, and we don't want him to go through any other health issues. So we hope that Tua stays healthy this season and he gets to where he needs to be. But I don't think they're doing anything because they're gonna be in third place, like I said. And again, I think I skipped over the Patriots fast. Drake May, yeah, I just don't. I really don't believe in Drake May. There's nothing against Drake May. They say he's kind of like Josh Allen, but we'll see. Prove me wrong. All right, let's move over to the AFC West. I got the Chiefs winning that division, followed by the Chargers, then the Broncos, and then I got the Raiders coming in last. Now I feel like this division is tricky though. Let me point that out. All right, this division is tricky for me because I switched it around last minute. All right, I did. I switched it around last minute. I feel that the Chiefs, they are gonna have some tougher games than they maybe expected. That coming off that Super Bowl loss to the Eagles, I think that it kind of put a chip on their shoulder. But I think that they're gonna play some tougher games than expected, and it's actually gonna make them better. I think this may be Travis Kelsey's second to last year, possibly his last year. If they win, I think he's done. But not to make it about Travis Kelsey or whatever. Dope tight end, one of the best ever. I think that the Chiefs are gonna actually be a better team because of how they lost that Super Bowl and how they were winning games leading up to that Super Bowl. It was kind of a fight for their life, and they kind of escaped with some lucky wins. So I think that they're going to struggle, but I think that they're only going to struggle because their division got better. Like I was saying, Chargers with Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh that second year. going into I want to say it's the second year. Yeah, second. Yeah, y'all would fact check that anyway. It's a second year going into it. Justin Herbert, I think he's gonna actually make him play better. Jim Harbaugh is actually Jim Harbaugh is a great coach when it comes to scheming up offenses and making sure that he puts his players in the right position. Running backs, quarterbacks involved, wide receivers involved, where he's not doing too much and it's not just predicated on one offensive option to where it's just too heavy. He did a great job at Michigan. I was calling that he was going to come back to the NFL for years. So I think the Chargers are going to actually be better, and I have them making the playoffs. So let me highlight that as well too. I do have the Chargers making the playoffs. I have the Broncos again finishing third. I think Bo Nix and Sean Payton are going to be a solid. They have been a solid tandem. I think Bo Nix is going to be solid, but it's just not going to be enough. They're going to be very competitive. I don't know where the wins margin is going to be. I think the Broncos and the Raiders are going to be kind of fighting for that third and fourth. It's going to be tough. That's why I said this division is going to be tougher than I think people think because the competition has stepped up. I do like Pete Carroll and Geno Smith taking over in Las Vegas with the Raiders, and that may see you never know. The Raiders could actually shock us and get to number two. Who knows? But I do have the Chargers making the playoffs in that division. Again, the Chiefs leading that one. So let's move over to the AFC North. I have the Ravens going and winning that division. Lamar Jackson, you already know. I just what else to say? The Ravens, they're a great team, great running game. Derrick Henry coming back. John Harbaugh, just great continuity. The defense has always been solid. Let's see if Lamar Jackson can actually take that step up in the playoffs to be able to maintain everything he's been doing in the regular season. I'll get to some of my early predictions as far as awards pertaining to some things or whatever, but we'll get to that after. I think that if he takes that next step up in the playoffs, he'll be able to ascend into legendary status with when it comes in regards to him being a legendary NFL quarterback. I do have the Steelers following the Ravens in second. The Ravens, I mean, excuse me, excuse me, the Steelers with T.J. Watt, Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers. I think they're going to shock some people. Everybody's been writing Aaron Rodgers off. He had a bad stint in New York, like I was mentioning with the Jets. It's just things didn't go good. He's not gonna have that leeway in that push to be able to make. I wouldn't say he was making decisions in New York, but I think he had an influence on some firings and some things that happened there and kind of threw off the locker room or just threw off the synergy. But who knows? The Jets are the Jets, so you got Aaron Rodgers, you mix the Jets, and you mix that kind of power struggle, and you see the outcome. But you look at the Steelers with the organization that they have and the structure that they have, and Mike Tomlin being there as long as he's been there, and them having weapons and them being able to them being able to develop wide receivers and to be able to position themselves each and every year to at least have a chance in the playoffs or close to the playoffs and having winning seasons. I don't think that I have to look up Mike Tomlin's been how many years in a row he's been making the playoffs, but Mike Tomlin is a fabulous coach. He's undeniably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but in my opinion, I think him and Aaron Rodgers are kind of like on a quest for almost the same thing. It's like that one more championship. I see them getting that one more championship. Steelers fans don't get mad at me. You know what I mean? Saying not just saying y'all got one. Y'all may have many going, but this could be a good year for y'all as well. But followed by the Steelers, I got the Bengals, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Needless to say, they put all that money into the wide receiver core. Um, Defense is not going to be as good. I don't have them making the playoffs. Browns, the Browns are the Browns. They don't want to start Shador. That's a whole nother topic. We can get into that a whole nother time. We got Joe Flacco leading the wave. Myles Garrett. They got a great defense. The thing about the Browns though is they've always had talent and they've always had great. Not that sounds great. That sounds crazy to say with the Browns. Always nah. All right, let's rephrase that. Recently, in the past few years, the Browns have been a better team. Like they've been overall a better structured and organized team, I would say. And they were just always missing the quarterback. The Browns have always been missing the quarterback to where they can take them to the next level. And that's no story. They paid Deshaun Watson all that guaranteed money. He's coming over after the case that he's had, and he just didn't play good. He had some injuries that kind of set him back. He had some decent games. Now they end up drafting these young quarterbacks. He's out. They got all these quarterbacks in the locker room, and as a football team, when you're the offensive weapons and the defensive players, you want to know who's the one that's actually leading out there, because let's all be clear, everybody knows if you don't have a quarterback, then you're not going nowhere. These are not the days of, you could just hand it off every play and just not have a quarterback and you just win. Nah, this 2025 and beyond, these quarterbacks are just too dynamic and they're way too important and way too valuable to what they mean to a franchise. So the Browns have put themselves in a position to where they again continuously have caused dysfunction. And now with that dysfunction, the team is just going to be going out there playing games, and we don't know where the direction is. Now, they may prove me wrong. These are the early predictions. Let me put a disclaimer out there. Early predictions. Early predictions. We gonna check back in midway, and we gonna check back in at the end of the year before the playoffs, and we gonna revisit to where these predictions went to. There will be no adjustments made to these predictions. Well, only prediction that would be adjusted would possibly be the Super Bowl, and that can be readjusted. I would say, let's say midway through the season. We're gonna go midway through the season. All right, so we got the Browns coming in last. Let's move forward. All right, let's pick this up. So we got the AFC South coming in next. All right, I got the Jaguars coming in first. I got the Texans coming in second. I got the Colts coming in third, and I got the Titans coming in fourth. All right, I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna have a great year. I think this is his time to really prove why he was the number one overall pick. He showed it at Clemson. He dealt with some injuries as well too. He had a great, in my opinion, he had a nice playoff run in a few years back, and when he had to threw those four interceptions in the first half, and he came back, and his performance, you could just see the talent is there, the arm strength is there. It's just the weapons needed to be upgraded, and the defense, and just you got to give this thing some time. So you wanted to make sure that that team is growing if you have a Trevor Lawrence on your roster. So I have them coming in at number one. The Texans, this is subject to change with like I said, with these predictions. The Texans coming in number two. Now, I would have had them number one. That's the thing. I would have had them number one. I just think that CJ Stroud will have a really good year. That's not to take nothing from him. I just think they didn't bring in as much offensively like I thought they were going to bring in, but they do have great coaching. They do have great players, and that's not to take away what they're going to do. But I just think that they didn't really make any splashes. But sometimes having that continuity and having that, those same players kind of going through your system and having them know your offense and different things of that nature, that can actually be beneficial for you. But I do have the Texans coming in second. The Colts, I'm not a believer in Daniel Jones. He's not really doing anything for, when I evaluate or look at the game or look at the like quarterbacks, and Daniel Jones is solid. Solid to for a few games, I guess. Um Anthony Richardson, I like Anthony Richardson. He didn't get the start over Daniel Jones, but he kind of has a knock on him because they saying he quit on his team. He walked out of the game, you know, I guess after he realized it was over, which you don't do. You definitely don't do. So they have quarterback issues. Again, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning anything. So we got the Titans coming in last. I do like Cam Ward. I do like I think Calvin Ridley's there. I could be tripping. I do like Cam Ward. I do think they're coming in last though because they do have a rookie quarterback, and it's going to take some growing pains for him to get to where he needs to be. And he may just end up being a great quarterback one day, but right now he has to just go through, the gauntlet of what the NFL is. But I do have the Colts topping the Titans because of, they do have weapons. They do have like a solid defense, and I think they're going to be formidable when it comes to winning some games. But the Titans are they're going to struggle through the year. All right, let's go over to the NFC. All right, let's go over to the NFC. That's where my favorite squad is at. We're going to get to that division in a second. You know what I'm saying? All right. All right, let's go over to the NFC. Let's go to the NFC East. I do have the Eagles repeating winning that division. I have the Commanders coming in second, which I have them making the playoffs. I have them making the playoffs as well. I have the Giants coming in third, and I got the Cowboys coming in fourth. I think it's going to be a tough, 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 tough year for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to have some tough losses, and that division is getting better. It used to be, and that's how the NFL usually works too. It's every so 4 or 5 some odd years that the divisions kind of flip. Like, it goes from bad to being really good, where these teams start getting more competitive than you actually um, I would say projected them to be. So with that being said, I think the Cowboys, with them trading Micah Parsons, whether people think that Micah Parsons is this great player or he's not this great player or he deserved the money or doesn't deserve the money, I think just with just the continuous headlines of how Jerry Jones kind of runs his team, and nobody's gonna tell him how to run his team. He's a billionaire, that whole thing, America's team, the whole how they sell it, whatever. The way it's too much dysfunction. Again, excuse me. It's too much dysfunction to an organization to be able to put out winning results. You may win games, but you're not going to win at a level, and you're not going to win at the pressurized levels when things get tight and things get close, to be able to get over that hump once again like you did back in the 90s. Now, it's been kind of like a constant getting in the way because, these players do deserve to be paid, based off of what they go out there and they do. And if they're being ranked as high as where they're being ranked as somebody like Micah Parsons and on his level, you should be actually going in and, you know, paying your players. But instead, Jerry wanted to do a whole bunch of interviews. He wanted to do a whole, go out there. He wanted to not talk to his agent. He wanted to disregard his agent. He wanted to do business with Micah Parsons. He said that they had a deal. That all that can be, you can break that whole thing down to, you could break that whole thing down to where they went wrong. All right, but we're not gonna, that can be just deciphered in so many different ways. But Michael Parsons is on the Green Bay Packers now. So with him doing that to the Cowboys, I just think that the locker room just kind of got is going to be deflated. Dak is a good quarterback. He gets talked about all the time, whether he deserved the money or not. Once again, but he's a really good quarterback, and he deserves some type of, you know, he needs more than it just being him. And when I say more, it needs more impact players than just him. The Cowboys have a lot of good players, but in my opinion, they don't really have those impact players that you would need to put you over the top. You can name it with a lot of different other teams. So with all that dysfunction, it's going to lead them to just some tough losses, and I think they're just going to get out to a really slow start, and they may win late, but it's just going to be too late. Now, saying that, I think the Giants are going to be better than what you think. They drafted some young players. The defense is going to be good. They're going to be better than the Cowboys. They're going to finish third. The Commanders, I think that they're going to be as good as they were last season, and they're going to the playoffs again as well. I do have them marked as the playoffs. The Giants, let me go back to the Giants. I do like Jackson Dart. I do like Russell Wilson starting. I think they're going to be formidable as well. I don't know when Jackson Dart is going to actually get to start, but we all know that that's coming at some point. But he did so. He showed some good flashes in the preseason of what he can actually do. I've always been a fan of Jackson Dart. Before, when he was at USC, when he committed to USC and then he transferred over to Ole Miss, and him coming out in high school, you could just see how he was just the way he was kind of like a gunslinger, and he had some speed to him as well too. Um, I think Jackson Dart is going to be good when he actually takes the reign from Russell Wilson, but I do like Malik Neighbors. I think he's going to actually have a really good year, and look out him. I think he's going to be a big fantasy player for a lot of people playing fantasy out there. We're going to bring fantasy to this whole platform as well too. So I'll keep throwing out a lot of different things that we're going to keep bringing. So again, like, subscribe, comment. Make sure y'all sharing this. Make sure y'all signing up for everything that we got going on. Again, it's a lifestyle workshop. All right, let's continue on. Let's continue on to the NFC West. We got my Rams. My Rams. Lifestyle workshop. Hey, yo, I got them winning the division. I got them winning the division. All right, I got my Rams winning the division. I think Matthew Stafford is a top 5 quarterback. You heard it here. Top 5 quarterback in the game. However you want to rank him. When Matthew Stafford is fully healthy, he's a top five quarterback. Already won us a Super Bowl. All right, but I think we've been building a young defense, and we've been doing it through the draft, and we've been signing some players that fit to what we do. And I like what the Rams is doing. I do like bringing in Devontae Adams to go alongside Puka Nakua, and go alongside Higbee at tight end. And I think we're doing some things that with Sean McVay, he's gonna really start to. I think after going through losses, going through the wins, going through the ups, going through the downs, the Rams have always kind of put themselves in a position. We have always put ourselves in a position because I'm a part of this squad. Nah, but seriously, I do think the Rams are gonna win the division because they've been kind of showing they have what it takes to make moves, to make tweaks, to make changes, to upgrade, and to be able to get to where they need to be. So hopefully we have some playoff success, but I do have my Rams going to the playoffs. 49ers coming in second. I have them going to the playoffs. The Cardinals coming in third. And then I have the Seahawks coming in fourth. Brock Purdy, I think they're gonna have a solid year. Greg Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan, that whole gang. They definitely know what they're doing over there. We're gonna breeze through there. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. I do like that connection. I do think they're gonna be good. I don't know how good they're going to be. It's going to be a tough division. I'm not sure what their win total is going to be like, but the Seahawks coming in fourth. They did sign Sam Darnold. They did sign Sam Darnold, and we'll see if Sam Darnold can repeat that success what he had in Minnesota last year when he was playing for the Vikings. Was it just the system? Was it Sam Darnold? Because he did get off to a rough start when he was with the Jets, and then when he was with the Panthers, and then he went to the 49ers, ironically, in the same division that he's in right now with the Seahawks. He went to the 49ers, backed up there for a little bit, went on to the Vikings, and then he had success there. So we'll see if he'll be able to carry that in Seattle. Moving on to the NFC North, I do have the Green Bay Packers winning that division. I do like what Jordan Love brings to the game. He's been backing up Aaron Rodgers and for some years the same way Aaron Rodgers was backing up Brett Favre. And the Packers have shown that they do have a formula to when they're actually having quarterbacks. It's almost like how Pittsburgh has with their coaches. They have a formula to when, how they have coaches to be able to take over and be able to like expound and expand for years. So I do like that they have Jordan Love. Let's see if they be able to pick up where they left off for the last couple years. We'll move on to the Lions. I have the Lions finishing second. I do have the Lions going to the playoffs. The Vikings coming in third and the Bears coming in fourth. The Lions, I think they're going to take a step back. I don't think it's just guaranteed that they're going to be first. They had some unfortunate miscomings and missteps when it came to the playoffs. They got a little ahead of themselves last year. The Vikings, I think they're taking a complete step back because of losing Sam Darnold. You got J.J. McCarthy taking over, which I do like him as a quarterback coming out of Michigan. He coming off of that injury. We'll see if he be able to, sustain and do what he needs to do. And then I got the Chicago Bears at fourth again. Caleb Williams. I don't think it's working out as much as people would like it to for him, but we'll see. I'm positive. We gonna always keep the positive vibes, encourage your vibes, but sometimes it is what it is. I don't think it's gonna be. Shout out to Kim and Mace. I don't think it's gonna be as good for him this year as well. Too. I think he's coming in last, and he's not gonna really have a productive year. He's not going to be he may statistically, let me take that back. Statistically, he may be productive in some's eyes, but I don't think the win total is going to I don't think the win total is going to match the statistics. Let's move on to the NFC South lastly. I have the Buccaneers winning that division. I have the Falcons coming in second, the Saints coming in third, the Panthers coming in fourth. There's not much to say about this division. Division that hasn't been good for years, but again, sometime with the NFL over 4 or 5 years it switches. So this could be one of those divisions that switch maybe in another year, 2, 3 years, but we'll see. The Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans connection, continuity, solid. They won a Super Bowl a few years ago with Tom Brady. We still not gonna knock that off. That organization knows what they're doing. The Falcons, Michael Penix, I think he's gonna have a good year, a second year rookie, coming out of where did he go? Washington. Coming out of Washington last year, I think he took over for Kirk Cousins, so I think he's going to be solid this year. New Orleans, I don't think they really do anything. They got solid players. They've always been a solid organization, in for the most part, but they're starting to unravel a little bit in my eyes over the last few years. The Carolina Panthers, I just think the quarterback situation is just not where it needs to be. They don't really have any impact players. Again, prove me wrong, prove everybody else wrong, but I have them coming in last. I'm gonna run through. I do have Lamar Jackson winning the MVP. All right, I have Lamar Jackson winning the MVP. I think he's gonna have a solid year. I think he's gonna get to where he actually needs to summarize the whole season. I think he's going to put on a show. He's going to rush for another 1,000. He's probably most. I got him going over 4,000 yards passing, touchdown somewhere between 35, 38 passing. We don't know with the running. He could combine and be maybe 50 total touchdowns. We'll see. Maybe those statistics are just maybe a little bit too high or whatever, but we'll see. But I do ultimately have the Rams and the Ravens in the Super Bowl. My Rams in the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are gonna not run through, but it's gonna be a tough NFC. We had the Eagles against the ropes. If it did not start snowing and start getting crazy out there, I think we could have took that. So I think we are already one step away. We bring in Devontae Adams. It's just another target. We're gonna see where that goes. I got the Rams. I got the Rams and the Ravens. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, like I just said, MVP. The Rams are gonna actually have a great year. People gonna write us off, and this is not just fan base. All right, this is not just fanfare. But y'all might just say that. I understand if y'all take it as that. All right, so with that down, yes. Give it up for NFL being back. Give it up for NFL being back. Give it up for NFL being back. We gonna move on quickly. I want to touch on to some quick. We gonna move around. We gonna move around. I want to move on to movies and entertainment. How about Marvel versus DC? Marvel versus DC, real quick. They're back in it's back in a certain way. Some people are kind of over it. I've heard a lot of people say that they're over superheroes, for instance, but people it seems to sell. It just seems to sell. It's hard to not sell superheroes. People love superheroes. People have grown up on superheroes, but with the releases of Superman and Fantastic Four recently, it sparked new debates, and now movies are being rolled out differently now. I'm starting to realize, like, now it's starting to be about showing your pre-production. Before, they didn't really used to show anything. You would get like obviously everything's changed, but you would get like an ET exclusive of like on the set of Batman. But now every day just seems like an update to what's coming and who's added to the movie, or what they're writing, or what the script is going to be, or where the plot is, or what the ending scene may be, or who got taken out. And it's a continuous game that they're playing with these movies specifically. Other movies kind of do it in certain ways. I think they still kind of stick to like that script, but I just realized that the superhero movies, it's like they're playing a game to sell tickets to you while they're making the movie. That's that's always been the plan, but they're doing it more now as they're this character is going to be in it, or revealing this character is going to be in it, and this is going to be the plot. And they're really doing that to just combat each other now. James Gunn going over to James Gunn going over to DC to take over that whole department and kind of make it and bring it up to the level how Marvel was. And you got Kevin Feige over at Marvel. So the movies that see, Marvel's trying to get themselves back to where they were, because the last few years, DC has had the last few years to had time to think about a plan to try to combat their movies and what they were doing. Because clearly Marvel was just making a killing. I am a fan of both. I do champion the Marvel movies because the way that they laid it out and how the stories are and how the stories connect and how everything just comes together, and they just make it a good. They've had some movies that made it a good acting and good movie, combined with it being about superheroes, that made Marvel like their special sauce. But with them being kind of putting out some movies that weren't to people's satisfaction, I think that it made it give DC time to um, craft these ideas to where they can pick the brand back up and make it in a way where people can enjoy these things again. Because we like Superman, we like Batman, we like the Justice League, we like all those things of that nature. So Fantastic Four was a solid movie. That was a solid movie. I went to see that when I went to see Superman as well too. And but you could see that Marvel left some room for DC to operate, because with Superman being at coming in at the numbers that it did. I want to say it did, it was 600, close to 700 million worldwide. The projections were probably around like 4 or 500 million, maybe around that range that they got to. And for DC Studios, that's a win for them. But they're them rolling out with the success of Batman and the Penguin, and they've took different roads to try to, you know, chip away at what Marvel's doing. So I think that it's just interesting that they still are at kind of like a. It's always going to be a competition type thing or whatever. What would be cool at some point in the future, what would be dope is they actually did like a movie together. Like they brought their Avengers versus the Justice League. That'd be a fire movie. That billions of dollars if they did it the right way. But if they could agree on who would be shooting, doing all this and that. But again, you got plenty of Marvel projects laid out. They got Superman's coming up. They got Batman's coming up. They got the Green Lantern coming up. They got all these movies coming up, and they rolled out for the next few years. We'll lay out more information on that. We'll dive deeper on that. Just let me know different things that you guys, feel like we want to talk about on here. Uh, then Marvel has the Avengers Doomsday coming out, which is going to be Doctor Doom, and they got Robert Downey Jr. bringing him back, not as Iron Man, but as Doctor Doom, and that's going to be an interesting story. So it leaves some room for them to just have this debate about who's doing better, and I think it's just going to be a great next few years when it comes to those Marvel versus DC movies. And then we got another a movie that I wanna see what you guys take is on this. I'm gonna touch on this a couple times, but the Him movie with Marlon Wayans, the Him movie with Marlon Wayans. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me get the IMDb. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the Him movie with Marlon Wayans releasing September 19th, 2025. Director Justin Tipping. Cinematography by Kira Kelly, distributed by Universal Pictures, executive producers Kate O and David Kim. This is set to be a horror film, but it's based around a football player. It's based around a football player that Marlon Wayans is. He's a quarterback, and this let me let's pull up the plot of what the character's name is. But pretty much it's like another quarterback idolizing as if there was like a Tom Brady or somebody like that, or there Jordan Peele's actually a part of this too. Okay. Yeah. So I guess he's one of the producers on this as well too. So if you've seen Jordan Peele's movies, you know that the horror and it's not all the way written and anything like that, but I know he has some influence. It's not all the way written by him. The writers are Zach Akers, Skip Bronke, and Justin Tipping, as I mentioned. Um, and the description is a young athlete descends into a world of terror when he's invited to train with a legendary champion whose charisma curdles into something darker. So it's pretty much my early predictions on that is, it's looking like you know, he wants to go to the NFL or he wants to go whatever. Let me not even say NFL. He wants to go whatever respective league. Or he idolized this guy as he was growing up, and he wants to be like him. So he's positioned himself to be good or be looked at like him as he was coming up. And once he gets to finally in a position to where he has a chance to be trained by him, it's a different life. And he's living a different way, and he's training a different way, and he believes in things a different way, and he's showing them different things, and it's does look horror. I'm not saying it looks satanic. It looked like some things going on in here. Um, this may be a decent movie though, because I think it's gonna have people intrigued because you don't all the way know what's going on. It's not just a clear cut sports movie, and it seems like it's gonna go back and forth between what's off the field and what's on the field in that balance. But to make it a horror movie is interesting. So I hope the music is good in between it because Jordan Peele has always had like a way to appeal as far as like cutting in dope classic hip hop cuts or just some good music. So I hope the score is good on this movie and go see that September 19th. I'll definitely be in the building for that. All right, moving on, moving on. You moving on because it's a all right. We moving on. We moving on. We got to move on to Upcoming music releases. All right, we're gonna move on to music. All right, really, it's really slow in music right now. There's a lot of good music that was released. The Clips released a dope project. Freddie Gibbs released a dope project. Chance the Rapper released a dope project. We've been getting some good rap. We've been getting some good hip hop. In regard, we got some good R&B that's been coming out as well too. But the rap has definitely been having. It's been good. We've been fed for the hip hop heads. But the Drake's Iceman. We'll touch on that. The Drake's Iceman. Pause. What's the predictions for that? There's a lot going on with the rollouts. Um, Drake's music is always, made people interested and made people run to the releases. What is what are your predictions? First and foremost, I'm gonna ask, put those in the comments. All right, we're gonna engage. What's your predictions for Drake's Iceman? Tell me what you think of what the numbers is gonna do. Numbers don't really always do it for me. What you think the message is gonna be? Do you think he gonna be dissing? Do you think it's gonna be something that he gets him back on track? Is it what people wants to hear? So put your predictions down there in the comments. My predictions on the Drake's Iceman, because it's a lifestyle. Let me get some water again. Excuse me. My predictions. My predictions are, clearly I think he's going to diss. He might be clever with some of his disses. He might be, he might sneak this. He might do a different array of things. I think that really wants to, if Drake really wants to make an impact with his project, I think he just needs to just get back to classic Drake. He just needs to just make good music about what his views are as far as where he's at going forward. Don't, of course, it's gonna be about people turning on you and all that, but don't make that the thing. Get it off your chest, maybe the first track, but just make bangers. Make bangers, good bars, good rapping, good production, and just keep releasing great music. But Iceman, it's hard to have a distinct prediction for what it actually could be. Just as of right now, I just think he's gonna be rapping in a sense, but it may not be to what people's liking are. It may not be to what people's liking because his Iceman episodes, he's been releasing those on YouTube, he's releasing those on Instagram, and it's been like almost like a stream, and it's not been a lot of good feedback from it. The first couple, I think people were kind of like engaging with it because it was like a shock value factor, but we'll see. We'll see what the Iceman project actually when it comes out. We'll break it down and we'll get into that as well too. So yeah, put y'all predictions down there. Remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, man. Let's build this platform up one at a time. As you see, our socials, everything's brand new right out the bat. One by one, we gonna build this thing up. I need all of y'all. All right. So if you support, if you like what we doing, if you have some suggestions, if you are somebody that feels that should be a part of the platform as far as coming up here or feel like they can contribute in a way, I will have my email available on these socials, and you'll be able to contact and reach out to the platform, and we can talk some business. So, but moving on, we gotta move on because it's a lifestyle. Uh, gaming. We gotta move over to gaming. We gonna what y'all playing in the gaming? All right. I played it. I got the PlayStation. I do rock with the PlayStation. PlayStation's a good system. PS5. I was always had an Xbox and stuff like that growing up. I've had PlayStation. It's been different. Like it's been like a back and forth as far as where my gaming would rely on. But I made a decision to go to PlayStation 5 when it was coming out because they had a lot of exclusives. I had the Xbox One. The Xbox One stopped coming out with exclusive games. I felt like they were just getting lazy with their updating and where they were kind of doing their promotional tactics as far as what the system was going to turn into, or even what their new system was going to be. And the PlayStation 5 was just killing it. I just like the design. Like I said, I wanted to play the Spider-Man games and the God of Wars and all the exclusives that they have, and they continue to have more exclusives. So it was a good purchase. So yeah, with gaming, 2K. Let's talk about 2K. 2K came out recently. It's available to worldwide to everybody now, with whether you pre-ordered it or not. Now it's available worldwide. You had it a week early. Week before this, I know everybody kind of got the Stay Mellow, or you got like the Superstar. I think it's the Hall of Fame edition with everybody on the cover, and you were able to play early and get into it and all that other good stuff. So far, I mean, I was able to play a week early, and so far, The game is I like the game. The game is solid. 2K has taken a knocks over the years as far as their last renditions. As people have been saying, it's cookie cutter, copy and paste. It has been that to a certain degree, and I think that 2K has a way to make that better. But in my opinion, it's a good game this year. They went through the shooting tactics are a little bit more easier. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for people, but you can change the difficulties to how you want them. But it's a decent game. I like the way the game handles. The game visually looks dope. The 2K, the My Player, My Career. They got a little story, or the Out of Bounds story, where the kid kind of coming from high school, he's kind of streaming in this day and age, or documenting himself to get to where he needs to be in the NBA, and then he ends up taking the overseas route, going through overseas, and then getting himself drafted, and then starting your journey, and then you got the whole 2K My Park, all that other stuff. You got to buy VC, all that other jazz. But that's the thing about you want your player good, you got to buy VC. 2K is going to tax you. That's been the downfall and been the knock. Regardless if you love the game or not, 2K has just went way too hard on the currency aspect of buying VC, and them being corporate. Why wouldn't it be a big business? They're gonna always just do where the dollar lays. Um, they they make you buy all this VC to get your player better and to be good because it's competitive out there. It's just like how people play Call of Duty, but in a different way. People buy skins and different packages and stuff like that to upgrade their person or what they're doing in Call of Duty. But most part, Warzone is free if you have Call of Duty or if you have whatever system. 2K, you got to buy the game every year, and then you have to buy VC. So if you're not buying VC, that's the only problem with 2K. So, but 2K overall as a game is a good game in my opinion. So far as early, the game is released worldwide as we are viewing and hearing this right now. The game is released worldwide. You can go out there and check that out if you are a gamer. Put your comments and let me know what you think about the game, and let me know what you're playing, what you're doing on there. If you're doing seasons, if you're doing online matchups, if you're doing my player, let me know what's going on down there in the comments. Again, like, subscribe, comment, share. We are on Instagram, we on X, we on YouTube. We building this platform up one at a time. I'm gonna say it again. Yes, it is a lifestyle. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to something that I was thinking about. It's just a random topic. Random topic of the pod is a question that I had that I wanted to pose. And again, I want you guys to leave your comments down there. And I guess I want you guys to leave your thoughts down there in the comments. Let me rephrase that. Leave your thoughts down there in the comments, and let me see what you guys are thinking as well too. But one thing that I was thinking is the original way of media become a thing of the past, and what does that look like going forward? And the reason why I say that is during this journey of getting to this point of actually releasing this platform and being able to, again, as I said at the top of the show, is comfortability and getting to a comfortable space and seeing what's going on around. This thought has been, I would say, back in 2015, 2016. It was me and a few other individuals that had these conversations about, where were the next steps as far as, media, what was to do with trying to put music in a vehicle in different instances and being seen and visibility and marketing and different tools of that nature. And, podcasting has always been around. It's been around for some years, longer than people have, you know, realized. But it was thought to us in the market of where could we bring podcasting to where people are seeing more than just what the regular podcast, almost like a show, because we grew up on shows like Rap City, The Basement, Hits from the Street, and all these different things that we have seen on TV is grown up as a culture of bringing to you good interviews and good backstage access and good content to shape how we view different lifestyles. Again, it's a lifestyle. So I say that to say it started to get to me over the years in developing a newer media space to where people can broadcast what they do. So as I look out at the landscape and as I was coming to coming to grips with, getting things together for myself, it started to happen rapidly over the years, like years and years, years. It started to happen rapidly, more in a space like where I can bring back to streaming, where people are following, just watching what people do through like a daily. They're watching people on a daily basis of what they do and how they live their lives. Lives. Granted, some be skits. They set up different fun things, but people are being entertained in these spaces, and even when it came to NBA or NFL or sports in general, and getting your sports or getting your takes or getting your information, people really like to see interviews from people. Start with interviews. People like to hear stories from people like Drink Champs. I could think of platforms like Drink Champs. Hearing stories about different rappers and different the history of the game and different, it's just people start to bounce around on different podcasts and giving different takes, and then now it's just everybody just started to capitalize on their own stories, on their own news, and then it started to that just transformed into hip hop media being its own media and creating these channels and creating these again platforms to get this information off and to bring awareness to what is actually being presented, and it started to evolve, and excuse me a second. It started to evolve in a way where I think big media real was realizing this in real time, that they had to merge or they were going to be forgotten about. So they started to bring different shows on, well, different podcasters and different content creators, and they started to bring them on to these shows and work them into their companies in certain ways that they can deliver the media and kind of get some of that fanfare, because now you just have a whole bunch of people, like you don't have to go watch NBC, or you don't have to go watch 60 Minutes for this sit down interview, or you don't have to go watch ESPN or Fox Sports to go get your takes. You can watch Gilbert Arenas and what he's doing, or you can watch the Joe Budden podcast and watch an interview over here if you want a music take over here, or you can watch Drink Champs, or you can watch Gillian Wallow with $1 million worth of game. And there's a whole abundance of people that I can go on for days if I just really sat here with all the media outlets there are for people to get their information. People like watching stuff on YouTube. People like watching clips on YouTube. There's people that we don't even know about that are just gaining access and gaining a whole bunch of wealth online based off of them just doing their own media research and people just listening to other people as opposed to listening just to the few people and the few stations that they used to roll out to us. So it's something to think about. And again, the question is the original way of media becoming a thing of the past, and what does that look like going forward? And for me, to what that looks like going forward is, I think we have less news stations. I think we're going to see a lot of them condense, almost like how the record labels did with Universal Music Group, where they just all the record labels just went under one umbrella, and that's just going to happen again. You're just going to start seeing media news outlets just done, and they're just going to be one. It's going to be 1 to 2 channels, and they're just going to want funnel all that audience into and attention into those 1 to 2 channels. Could just be my wild opinion or wild take, but that's just kind of where I see it going, with people paying attention to what's going on online and going out and getting their own information and resources. All right, but that's on that's another lifestyle. So moving on to another lifestyle, we gonna wrap this up. I want y'all to catch out again. I want y'all to like, subscribe, share, put y'all comments down there. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what y'all think about episode 1. This is only just episode 1. It's just the beginning. We building. Again, stay with me. All right? Stay with me. Grow with me. All right? We gonna take this thing up. We're gonna do a lot of we're gonna have a lot of special guest co-hosts. We're gonna have some guest interviews, travel experiences, reviews, performances. It's a whole bunch. We have some freestyle sessions. We're gonna have a lot of different things. We traveling outside of the production set. It's bigger than just this. We're gonna have some more people in here. There are gonna be some on air like live stream interviews. We're gonna try to really expand this thing. Not even really try. We are gonna expand this thing. You're gonna be getting some information. I want to be informed as well too. I want to be resourceful. Y'all should be resourceful as well too. Let's share the system. Let's build this. All right, and we can see this thing through. We're gonna check years down the line, and you can be a part of this journey as well as me too. Because we gonna, like I said, we gonna grow on lifestyle. Again, like, subscribe, share. We on Instagram. We on X. We on YouTube. We on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pandora. All the audio will be on there. We on Patreon as well too. You can find exclusives. We will be having exclusive interviews when we sit down with some different business owners and different ventures and different. Damn it, button put me on pause. All right, but yeah, I want y'all to check back in with me next week. Again, follow us again. It's a Lifestyle LP on all platforms. All right. Again, I'm your host, the official LP. We are out of here. Yes, sir.